Krua Aloje was branded a disposable pawn, forced to play the role of a fake Pero and steal Dielo Arzenta's destiny or die trying. In a world where the strongest heir is marked by magic and betrayal means fiery death, everyone watches their staged marriage, convinced it's pure performance. But when Krua's water magic shatters expectations on the battlefield and Dielo's deadly reputation hides a wounded heart, who is truly deceiving whom? As enemies close in and even the real Peros arrival threatens everything, could the woman meant to be a sacrificial tool rewrite fate itself, or will her secret be the spark that destroys them all? In a grand, glittering hall, a man in a blue suit confronts Krua with deadly seriousness. Listen well, he warns, his glowing blue dagger casting an ominous light. He makes it clear that even someone like her has a crucial role to play for the family. With cold precision, he declares her fate. She will become a fake Pero for Dielo Arzenta. Her mission is simple yet brutal: steal his first 3 knights, isolate Arzenta's position, and ensure the Aloje family's prosperity. The words Dielo Arzenta carved into her back mark her as nothing more than a pawn in their ruthless game. Tears stream down Krua's face as the weight of the threat crushes her spirit. Fail, and a miserable death awaits. Her only choice is to comply or perish. The carriage wheels signal her new reality. Panic rises as she realizes she's trapped in a novel's plot. Damn it, she mutters. Why did it have to be this girl? Her reflection reveals a woman on the brink of a dangerous journey. Welcome to the dark world of the R19 novel, featuring 3 powerful ducal families where destiny is written in blood and power. These families have a unique succession method. A magical mark appears on the body of the most powerful heir, chosen by extraordinary abilities. Each family boasts its own symbol: a heart, a blue gem, and a white star. The mark chooses the most powerful, determining the next family head with elemental magic. To fully inherit their powers, a family head must have their name engraved and spend their first night with their fated partner, called a Paro. The stakes are deadly. If a woman who isn't the true Pero takes a family head's first night, he gains only half-heir powers. The half-heir will be killed when the real Pero appears. Krua refuses to accept her death sentence. Krua sits with clenched fists, her determination burning bright. She will not accept a meaningless death. It's infuriating enough that I was transmigrated, she thinks. But you expect me to just sit here and die a dog's death? Not a chance. She stands resolute, ready to rewrite her fate. No longer will she be a disposable pawn in someone else's game. Krua knows survival demands drastic action. She walks through a beautiful city, meeting Dielo Arzenta, the head of the Arzenta family. I am Dielo Arzenta, he greets her. Krua thinks, ugh. As expected of the tyrant kind and future male lead. In a lavish room, Krua sits across from Dielo, her red gown a stark contrast to the tension. I have something to discuss with you in private, Your Grace, she says as attendants prepare to leave. Dielo dismisses his attendants with a commanding gesture. Duke Dielo Arzenta, Krua addresses him formally. Yes, Lady Krua Aloje, he responds. Krua drops her bombshell. The truth is, I didn't come here to be your bride. Dielo, caught off guard, asks if she wishes to call off the marriage. No, Krua clarifies. I came as a business partner. Until your real Pero arrives, I will be your contract wife and shield, helping you become the strongest family head. Dielo proposes a deeper alliance, revenge against the Aloje family who sent him as a disposable pawn. Krua listens, understanding the complexity of their potential partnership. Just now, Dielo says, sipping tea, you said, until the real one arrives? Yes, Krua confirms. Dielo points out that his name is already engraved on her body, questioning her claim of being a fake. Duke Aloje deceived me, Dielo concludes with a slight smirk. In that case, we can't just continue this peaceful chat. Krua knows the stakes. If her fake status is discovered, not only will the engagement be broken, but Arzenta could declare war on Aloje. If I had intended to keep deceiving you, Duke Dielo, then yes, that would be the case, she says, standing with unwavering resolve. As she walks away, Dielo calls out, confusion evident in his voice. Krua hurls a glowing bottle toward Dielo, catching him by surprise. Dielo catches the bottle, asking, wound medicine? With determination, Krua pours the blue liquid over herself. What are you? Dielo starts. Krua interrupts, the name Dielo Arzenta engraved on my back. Her back reveals the forcibly carved name Dielo Arzenta in deep red. This name was carved against my will, Krua explains. Dielo stares, shocked by the brutal truth of her manipulation. Does this prove I'm a fake Pero? Krua asks. Dielo responds coldly. I knew the Alojes were underestimating Arzenta, but not to this extent. Do you think Arzenta would let someone who tried to deceive its head go free? No, you wouldn't let me live, Krua admits. However, she has no intention of following Duke Aloje's plan, knowing neither side would spare her life. She points out that Arzenta is considered the weakest family, with Aloge and Cartiel looking down on them. Let's get married, Krua proposes. For just 1 year. Until your real Pero appears, let's make the other two families lower their guard. She offers to help Diello in exchange for protection, laying out the terms of her deal. Diello leans in, challenging her. You, who came under Duke Aloge's orders, tell me how I can trust you. I came alone with no protection, Krua replies firmly. It's your choice whether to use me to turn this crisis into an opportunity, Diello smiles. Very well, he says. He embraces Krua, sealing their alliance. Let's do it, that marriage, he declares. Together, they stand ready to face the challenges ahead. The chapter concludes with credits and advertisements. In a dimly lit room, a man receives confirmation about Krua's deception. The name engraved on the back was definitely fake, the maid reports. The traces have faded, revealing a deeper plot than initially suspected. Krua contemplates the risks of their plan, knowing discovery would break the engagement. She recalls her proposal to Diello. Let's get married for 1 year. Use me to gain power, and keep Aloge and Cartiel off guard. Diello doubts gaining power is possible, but Krua insists, no, it can be stopped. Even when not even Arzenta believe in you, Diello asks. Krua confidently responds that if he truly lacked power, most Arzenta would have defected. She believes in his potential, and the family's intelligence network to find the real Pero. Diello reflects on making a deal with an enemy, wondering about Krua's true nature. As he opens a letter, he contemplates the risks and implications of their alliance. A letter demands 50% of Arzenta's income, 100 additional nights, and monthly visits from Krua to the Duke of Aloge. Diello realizes Aloge is strategically strengthening their position. Diello laughs bitterly, thinking, "You're sending off such a daughter into enemy territory?" He calls for Piel, instructing her to personally serve the future Duchess, emphasizing the importance of this new arrangement. Diello instructs Piel to personally serve the future Duchess, emphasizing the importance of her role. Diello gives Piel complete freedom to act as they wish in Aloge, showing strategic trust. Wedding preparations are in full swing. A massive building is being constructed for the event, with Krua set to greet guests at the banquet, a rare gathering of both families in years. Krua sits calmly in her wedding dress, while Piel carefully brushes her hair, sharing an intimate moment before the big event. Krua comments on how everyone believes their marriage is a romantic love story, knowing only a select few understand the truth behind their arrangement. Piel remains silent, her expression carefully neutral, revealing nothing about their secret plan. Piel is introduced as more than just a maid. She's Arzenta's head maid and a senior leader, known as a cleaner, who removes any obstacles in the family's path. Krua challenges Diello, asking if her actions prove she's a fake Pero. Diello warns that Arzenta doesn't take kindly to deception, making it clear her life hangs in the balance. Krua remembers from the original story that Piel was the one tasked with eliminating her once her fake status was revealed. Deciding to test Piel, Krua adjusts her earring and prepares to probe for information about her true role. Krua directly asks Piel if her assignment to serve her came as a direct order from the Duke of Arzenta. Piel confirms her orders, stating she's to serve Krua fully, including wedding guidance and family support. Krua realizes Diello must have shared their plan with Piel, which also means Piel is meant to protect her. They exchange polite words, but Krua notes Piel's smile is guarded, revealing underlying tension. Krua gazes out at the infinite sea, asking Piel to confirm its identity. Piel explains the traditional family territories. Arzenta protects the fire region, while Aloge guards the endlessly spreading forest, each family holding a sacred responsibility. The narration highlights the ancient promise of protecting each region, passed down through generations. Piel probes Krua about the infinite sea, subtly emphasizing the rivalry between family territories. The conversation reveals the deep-seated pride each family holds for their ancestral lands. Krua admires the sea's beauty, her voice soft with genuine appreciation. Piel questions why Aloge would dislike water when they have the power to control it, hinting at deeper family mysteries. Krua begins to reconsider her own powers and her family's reputation, sensing something significant. Curious about her abilities, Krua decides to test her powers with a glass of liquid. To her shock, the liquid begins to move unexpectedly, revealing an extraordinary magical ability she didn't know she possessed. The liquid transforms into a majestic water creature, taking the shape of a glowing whale. Krua is stunned by her natural water manipulation, realizing her powers far exceed what was described in the original story. Her water control feels as natural as breathing, a revelation that surprises her. Someone calls her to the banquet hall, interrupting her moment of discovery. She walks down the grand hallway, prepared to face the wedding guests. Krua resolves to act deeply in love with Diello to prevent any suspicion from the Duke of Aloge. She carefully lifts her veil, preparing for a marriage that will reshape the Empire's power dynamics. With determination, she adjusts her veil, ready to protect her secret and play her part perfectly. The chapter concludes with translation credits and advertisements. In the Empire's unique wedding tradition, the bride wears a pure, white veil. Diallo greets Krua formally, acknowledging they must appear as a loving couple. Diallo questions their ability to convincingly act like a loving couple. Krua recalls the original story, noting Diallo's pure nature and inability to lie. Krua understands they must carefully maintain their appearance to avoid suspicion, requiring her to take the lead. Krua takes charge, telling Diallo she'll lead and he should follow her cues. She confidently enters the grand hall as the bride, with an announcement declaring her arrival. Wedding guests whisper about the surprising marriage between Arzenta and Alajet, speculating about Cartiel's reaction. Krua's heightened senses pick up every hushed conversation, feeling overwhelmed by the attention. Lord Sayeti of Cartiel enters, representing the Wind family, one of the most powerful family heads in history. His presence highlights the shifting balance of power with this marriage. Guests marvel at Diallo's transformation, finding him almost unrecognizable from his previous self. Krua walks down the aisle, veiled, as the entire hall watches with tense anticipation. Diallo calls out to Krua, and she responds formally. In the Empire's tradition, only the groom can lift the bride's veil. The groom's right to unveil is a sacred part of the ceremony, symbolizing their union. Diallo prepares to lift the veil, a moment of intimate significance. With gentle care, Diallo raises the veil, marking the next step in their ceremonial performance. Despite knowing it's a staged moment, Krua can't help but feel nervous, her heart racing. Diallo looks deeply into her eyes, asking her to be his bride. The moment feels intensely intimate, even if it's all an act. Diallo leans in for the ceremonial kiss, their faces close in a moment of calculated intimacy. Krua softly whispers Diallo's name, her voice tinged with uncertainty, catching his immediate attention. Diallo gently reassures her, "Don't worry about the first kiss." His calm words help Krua steel her resolve to see their plan through. As Diallo kisses Krua, the crowd erupts in surprised gasps and excited whispers. In a moment of vulnerability, Krua silently pleads, "Try to love me. More than now." Their embrace seals their vows before the watchful eyes of their guests. The intensity of their kiss catches Krua completely off guard, leaving her momentarily stunned. Flower petals dance around the couple, symbolizing the union of two powerful families. Their embrace marks the public culmination of their carefully orchestrated marriage. The elegant wedding hall falls silent as guests watch Krua and Diallo complete their ceremonial kiss. Krua looks slightly breathless, her uncertainty evident in her half-open eyes as she searches Diallo's face. Diallo reminds her softly, "Didn't you promise to follow my lead earlier? Be bolder than you are now," he whispers. Krua nods, understanding she must maintain their carefully crafted performance. Krua's thoughts intensify, silently urging more. As their kiss deepens, their embrace grows more passionate, marking the transition from a public performance to something more complex. The wedding ceremony fades, leaving behind the promise of their intricate partnership. Whispers and gossip ripple through the crowd. Guests marvel at the unexpected chemistry between Krua and Diallo, speculating about the true nature of their relationship. Some are envious, others surprised by the apparent depth of their connection. The chapter concludes with translation credits and advertisements. A servant approaches Diallo, addressing him formally. Diallo invites him in, calm and composed. The servant discusses the social buzz surrounding Diallo's transformation. He notes that while Krua's proactive behavior caught attention, Diallo himself was the true center of gossip. Diallo strategically instructs the servant to spread just enough gossip to keep people intrigued without raising suspicion. He wants to control the narrative, showing a calculated side to his public image. Krua sits alone, her thoughts drifting. "I don't mind, so go even deeper," she muses, revealing her growing commitment to their plan. Her fingers trace her lips, lost in contemplation about her changing relationship with Diallo. Her eyes reflect a deepening understanding, hinting at emotions beyond their initial arrangement. Krua and Diallo share another intimate moment, their kiss speaking volumes about their growing connection. With hope in her eyes, Krua silently challenges Diallo, "Try falling for me." Their relationship blurs the line between performance and genuine emotion, each touch revealing layers of complexity. Diallo reflects on Krua's true nature, realizing she's far more than her initial facade suggested. He ponders the mask she's been wearing, sensing there's much more beneath the surface. Curiosity sparks in Diallo's mind as he contemplates uncovering Krua's true self. Krua takes charge, confidently telling Diallo to follow her lead. Her commitment signals a new depth to their partnership. Diallo recognizes Krua's total commitment to their shared plan. He contemplates their options, fully commit or walk away entirely. Observing Krua's interactions with the staff, Diallo confirms their alliance is now solid and purposeful. Relaxing in her bath, Krua notes the servant's genuine happiness about the marriage, despite her known difficult reputation. Piel remarks positively about the joyful atmosphere, bringing Krua some unexpected comfort. News of the engagement spreads rapidly through Arzenta. The frontline members are all abuzz with excitement about the union. Piel mentions how everyone expects great things from the seemingly perfect newlyweds. Krua confirms Piel's observation with a simple, "precisely." She asks Piel for her honest perspective on their engagement ceremony. Krua wants to understand how their performance appeared to someone who knows their true intentions. Krua realizes they must convince not just the nobles, but the Duke of Aloge himself. She continues to probe Piel about their engagement performance. Piel assures her the performance was flawless, admitting she almost believed it was real. Krua feels relieved at their success. A maid rushes in with urgent footsteps, shouting an emergency warning. Sector 3 of the Infinite Sea has been breached. Krua and Piel are stunned, sensing the grave implications of this sudden threat to Arzenta. The chapter concludes with translation credits and advertisements. Krua looks shocked as Piel reveals the breach in the Infinite Sea's third zone. "What's going on?" she asks urgently. Piel promises to investigate the situation thoroughly. Another servant approaches, addressing Piel formally. Krua wonders if this might be the start of the anticipated event. Piel explains that the Infinite Sea's defensive line is holding, but Krua remains skeptical about its complete integrity. Determined to maintain her position, Krua listens as Piel describes the invasion. 2 monster units have breached Zone 3, with the field commander struggling to hold them back. A maid reports that the second monster unit quickly overwhelmed their defenses, causing an instant collapse of the line. Krua ponders the unusual monster movements near the Infinite Sea, recalling details from the original story that hint at deeper complications. Something seems off. Krua notices the maids are sharing remarkably consistent information about the battle. Reinforcements arrive just in time, saving the final defense line from total collapse. Krua listens carefully, puzzled by Roa's status as a criminal despite his apparent heroic actions. A maid explains the harsh reality of Arzenta's code. Roa sacrificed himself to buy time, knowing he would still be labeled a criminal for not fully completing his mission. Piel reveals the brutal truth of Arzenta's absolute code of conduct. Failure means giving one's life without question. Krua struggles to understand the extreme expectations, her face showing discomfort at the harsh military principles. Piel delivers a stark message. Either do it or don't. A principle that defines Arzenta's uncompromising culture. The phrase echoes through Krua's mind. A core principle that reveals the ruthless nature of Arzenta's expectations. In Arzenta, loyalty is measured by sacrifice. Diallo's power allows some flexibility, but the cost of failure remains absolute, one's life and reputation. Piel emphasizes that sacrifice means nothing, if not done with absolute precision and purpose. Piel praises Krua's quick adaptation to the complex world of Arzenta. Krua realizes Diallo's apparent weakness is a carefully calculated performance, deeply influenced by Arzenta's brutal family traditions. A servant reports Roa's final moments, using Arzenta's power before ultimately dying in battle. Diallo calmly instructs the servant to bury Roa in front of the Infinite Sea, showing respect despite the criminal label. A servant mentions that Krua Aloge has questioned Roa's criminal status, catching Diallo's attention. Diallo is surprised by Krua's inquiry, dismissing the servant while deep in thought about the implications. Alone in his study, Diallo contemplates the need for a new commander for Zone 3. He reflects on the role of the priest in the complex power dynamics of Arzenta. A wry laugh escapes Diallo as he considers the intricate political challenges ahead. Krua sits by the window, lost in thought about the whirlwind of events leading to her wedding. The weight of her new responsibilities begins to sink in, filling her with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. Piel enters with a cart overflowing with documents, signaling the start of Krua's real work. Krua's eyes widen in shock at the mountain of paperwork, realizing the true extent of her new role. Despite Krua's protests about her short stay, Piel insists she must manage the family's affairs thoroughly. Krua begins to understand she must learn every aspect of the family business, including its shadowy underworld operations. Krua asks if these instructions come directly from Diallo, seeking to understand his intentions. Doubts swirl in Krua's mind about Diallo's trust, wondering if he knows about her true identity as a fake pharaoh. To her surprise, Piel fully supports Diallo's decision, leaving Krua momentarily stunned. Piel suggests starting with the southern operations, pushing Krua further into her new role. Krua feels overwhelmed, her imposter syndrome rising as she struggles to keep up with her new responsibilities. Guests marvel at the historic wedding venue, excitement building for the ceremony. Diallo and Krua stand prominently, the center of attention as guests arrive and whisper. A nobleman warmly greets Diallo, commenting on how smoothly everything is proceeding. A nobleman asks Diallo to care for his daughter, humbly acknowledging her potential flaws. Diallo promises to cherish her, hoping their marriage will end the long-standing family feud. After the nobleman departs, Diallo is left alone with the heavy weight of his ducal responsibilities. Guests buzz with excitement, anticipating the arrival of Duke Aloge and the bride and groom. Guests congratulate Diallo, praising the match as a joyous union. Diallo graciously thanks the guests and politely excuses himself. A sudden magical display with the fountain catches everyone's attention, highlighting the House of Water's influence. Guests admire the canal, noting how beautifully the tiny flame reflects on the water's surface. Diallo stands poised and ready, every inch the perfect groom awaiting his bride. Krua walks forward in her stunning wedding dress, bouquet in hand, radiating determination. From behind, Krua approaches the altar where Diallo waits, their carefully planned performance about to begin. A shadowy figure lurks in the background, watching with sinister intent. A mysterious woman observes the scene, noting that their plan remains undetected. She notices the empty seats for the groom's family, suspecting Duke Aloge's involvement in their deaths. The woman realizes Diallo is unaware that Duke Aloge murdered his parents. With determination, she resolves to help Diallo seek revenge when the time is right. The grand wedding ceremony begins, with every guest's eyes fixed on the couple. The officiant declares Diallo and Krua's eternal bond, sealing their promise to become one. Magical water arcs overhead as the couple prepares to seal their vows with a kiss. Diallo and Krua lean in close, their tender moment capturing everyone's attention. A guest dabs his eyes, moved by the emotional ceremony. The Arzenta family crest glows mysteriously, hiding the secrets of the heir's suppressed powers. Diallo tenderly touches Krua's cheek, calling her his lovely bride, and suggesting they make the moment sweeter. Krua blushes as Diallo leans in for another kiss, their love on full display. Surrounded by white roses, Diallo expresses his gratitude for Krua's marriage to him. The crowd erupts in cheers as Diallo thanks Krua, their partnership a moment of triumph. Krua's inner voice celebrates their successful performance, thinking it's a huge success. A sense of relief washes over her, knowing they've convincingly portrayed their love. Diallo announces their departure, the couple standing proudly by their carriage. A noble wishes them well as the coachman prepares to depart, guests slowly dispersing. In a playful moment, Krua teases Diallo about protecting his chastity, making him blush adorably. Krua reassures herself they'll simply hold hands while sleeping, maintaining their careful act. Reflecting on the wedding, Krua feels a sense of accomplishment after all their hard work. Diallo asks Krua about their new home. She responds enthusiastically, eager to explore their new life together. They pause to admire the breathtaking view where the sea meets the forest, a moment of shared beauty. Krua suggests breakfast by the view, and Diallo agrees, their bond growing stronger. At the mansion entrance, Krua thanks the staff and prepares to explore, aware of the watchful eyes of Aloge's handmaidens. Under the starry night, Krua feels the weight of constant scrutiny, exhausted but determined. Weary from the day's performance, Krua sighs, feeling the strain of being constantly observed. In their spacious villa, Krua and Diallo begin to unwind, enjoying their new home together. Diallo pours wine, inviting Krua to join him in a moment of relaxation and intimacy. They toast to their plan, agreeing to play their roles perfectly until the real pair arrives. Krua delights in the wine's sweetness, savoring the moment of connection. They share a moment of understanding, bonding over their unique situation. Krua asks for another glass of wine, and Diallo happily obliges, their evening growing more relaxed. Krua playfully suggests one more glass, but Diallo reveals they've finished the last bottle. They share a warm laugh, enjoying their playful moment together. Diallo suggests they clean up and prepare for bed. He calls Krua over with a gentle gesture. They stand together in their robes, preparing to begin their nightly routine as a married couple. Krua contemplates her temporary role, knowing she must leave in 2 months when the real Pero arrives. She explains the 1-year contract to Diallo, planning her eventual departure. Diallo curiously asks about his eyes, drawing Krua's attention. Diallo reassures Krua, complimenting her eyes as beautiful. He compares her eyes to the sea, his tender gaze filled with genuine admiration. They enjoy the peaceful intimacy of their honeymoon. Diallo asks Krua to practice calling his name more intimately. She calls him Krua, and he smiles, pleased with their growing closeness. Diallo tests Krua's ability to use his name casually. He promises not to take her chastity but explains they must appear intimate to fool their watchers. Diallo checks on Krua's comfort and readiness. Krua responds with determination, recalling the principle of do or do not. They stand united, ready to face their challenges together. Diallo embraces Krua, their emotional connection deepening. Together, Diallo and Krua embrace, their unity symbolizing their commitment to face whatever challenges lie ahead. Krua playfully asks for another glass of wine, and Diallo kindly agrees. With a gentle smile, she suggests one more glass, but Diallo reveals they finished the last bottle. They burst into laughter, enjoying their playful moment together. A moment of peaceful transition marks the end of this chapter. Piel serves Krua royal tea to help with her fatigue. Krua requests the tea be brought to Diallo in his office. She feels relieved, knowing the Eloge household members will soon depart, giving her a chance to breathe. Tired but determined, Krua encourages herself to hang in there a little longer. Suddenly, she hears a baby crying and turns sharply, spotting a small child running toward her, tears streaming down his face. A maid warns the child not to approach Krua carelessly, asking, "Who are you?" The child clings to Krua, desperately begging, "Please help me." The maid turns to Krua, seeking guidance. "Madam, what should we do?" Krua gently comforts the crying boy, asking, "Why are you crying?" The boy sobs, "Mom, I can't find my mom." She tries to calm him down and understand his situation. Krua asks the boy if his mom came with him. Krua asks Piel if any attendants brought a child, but Piel confirms no one from Arzenta did. The boy wails, "Mommy!" Krua comforts the crying boy, promising to find his mom. Piel worries about Krua's safety, but Krua remains confident in Eloge and Arzenta. She asks Piel to keep this between them to avoid unnecessary worry. Krua tells Piel she's counting on her. Piel agrees to assign someone to watch the child. The boy seems comfortable with strangers, and Piel promises to return quickly. Krua leads the boy through the estate, checking if he's calm. The boy points forward, and Krua follows his lead, hoping they'll find his mother. Krua asks the boy if he spotted his mom. She notices the boy's calm demeanor, despite heavy security, finding his behavior suspiciously composed. Krua suspects the child might have been sent to harm her, but remains unconcerned. The boy suddenly addresses Krua as Lady Krua Eloge and reveals a magical symbol. Krua realizes he's a watchdog from Eloge. The boy asks, "Did you spend the night with the Duke of Arzenta?" Krua confidently answers, "Of course." The boy demands proof. She recalls preparing with Diallo the previous day, feeling grateful for their planning. Krua tries to focus, reminding herself to stay calm. She presents proof to the boy, who confirms it. Suddenly, a woman calls out, "Child!" The boy runs to her, exclaiming, "I found my mommy!" Krua watches, relieved the test is over. The boy hugs his mother, and Krua notes the suspiciously perfect timing. She realizes Eloge sent them to confirm her story. Krua reflects on how this differs from the original plot, where she planned to deceive Diallo. Krua touches the mark on her back, remembering the night with Diallo. She asks him about the traces left behind. Diallo confirms the traces were very clear. Their plan to deceive Eloge is working. Diallo confirms the traces were very clear. Krua blushes, wondering why Diallo is being so good to her and feeling conflicted about her growing emotions. Krua stands alone, blushing and thinking about Diallo's kindness. She wonders why he's being so kind, feeling increasingly confused about her emotions. Krua and Diallo sit together in the garden, surrounded by maids in a peaceful atmosphere. Diallo watches her, thinking they must be prepared for any possible situation. He remains cautious, knowing the dangers that surround them. Krua reflects on her encounter with the mysterious child. Diallo wonders how she knew Eloge would send someone to test her. He questions whether it's due to her knowledge or simply her intuition. Diallo thinks about Arzenta's strong defenses, feeling internally reassured. Still, he admits he can't completely trust Krua. Diallo decides to keep Krua safely within Arzenta's protective boundaries. Diallo concludes that if Krua claims to be from Eloge, she must prove her absolute loyalty. Under the moonlit sky, Diallo sighs, hoping their contract marriage is genuine and will stand the test of time. Krua sits alone, mulling over whether asking for proof was truly necessary. She puzzles over the strange test, a magical child appearing out of nowhere to verify her story. Suddenly, Diallo appears at her door, gently asking, "May I come in, Krua?" Krua is surprised by Diallo's cautious approach to entering their bridal room. Diallo apologizes for his absence during the day, explaining urgent matters. Krua understands, noting it would have seemed odd for her to enter his office without proper knowledge of Arzenta. Krua admits she spent the day carefully glancing toward the office, playing the role of a sorrowful newlywed bride. Diallo realizes he might have appeared to be a neglectful husband, but feels relieved that Duke Eloge didn't perceive them as a loveless couple. Krua asks Diallo about Duke Eloge's visit. Diallo reveals that Ducaloge personally checked their intimate traces before leaving. Krua finds the idea creepy, but Diallo reassures her they've successfully navigated their first major challenge together. Krua explains the significance of the lily crest, which suppresses the heir's powers until the true Perrault removes it. Diallo understands that Ducaloge is waiting for her to remove the lily, but realizes there's no immediate reason for that to happen. Diallo reassures Krua that everything will remain protected until the real Perrault appears. They discuss who in Arzenta knows their secret, with Krua confirming that Piel is aware. Krua notes Piel's perceptiveness. She asks Diallo who she can trust in Arzenta. Diallo explains that anyone from Arzenta on the 4th floor can be trusted, easing her anxieties. Diallo assures Krua that everyone from Arzenta on the 4th floor is trustworthy. He demonstrates his magic by lighting a flame, explaining that true Arzenta knights understand the foolishness of betrayal. Krua feels more secure hearing his confident explanation. Krua agrees betrayal is foolish, but adds that if a betrayal succeeds, it becomes its own form of justice. Diallo suggests she'll understand Arzenta better with time. He wishes her good night, leaving her to ponder his words. The next day, Krua asks Piel about a contract she must sign. Piel explains it's a magical contract for someone leaving Arzenta, designed to prevent disclosure of secrets. Krua carefully examines the contract, understanding its critical importance. Piel explains the magical contract's purpose of preventing anyone from speaking about Arzenta. Krua wonders about her own role in this process. Piel announces that the person to sign the contract is waiting. Krua is surprised by the immediate readiness. Reading the contract, Krua discovers a terrifying clause. Anyone who speaks of Arzenta will be burned to ash by the head of house's flames. She's shocked by the severe punishment. Krua asks if such extreme contracts are common practice. Piel confirms it's rare, but does happen. Krua wonders if Diallo, known for his gentleness, could truly burn someone with flames. Krua decides to proceed with Piel to handle the contract signing. They walk through the mansion, preparing to meet the person who will sign the contract. Krua is determined to fulfill her duties as the mistress of Arzenta. Krua and Piel enter a room where a man named Myrta greets them. Krua realizes Myrta is the servant who will be signing the contract. She prepares for the formalities of the signing, ready to oversee the process. Krua notices a feather pen and a dagger, but no ink is present. She realizes the contract must be signed using blood instead of ink. Piel asks Myrta if he knows how to sign, and he prepares for the ritual, understanding its gravity. Krua comforts a crying boy, gently asking why he's so upset. The boy tearfully explains he can't find his mother. Krua and Piel try to help, but Piel confirms no one from Arzenta brought a child, leaving them puzzled. Krua understands her duty of obtaining the signature, taking the task seriously. She asks Piel about the details of the contract. Piel explains it's a magical contract for someone leaving Arzenta. Krua examines the feather pen and dagger, understanding the blood-signing ritual. She prepares for the ritual, feeling uneasy about this traditional practice. Myrta laughs nervously, surprised to find himself writing this particular contract. Piel declares, "Let's begin," and Myrta agrees to start the ritual. Krua watches as Myrta uses the dagger to draw blood and sign the contract, wincing at the painful process. Myrta completes writing the contract and presents it to Krua. Krua praises his work, preparing to offer a warning. Myrta listens carefully as Krua warns him about the serious consequences of breaking his oath to Arzenta. Krua warns Myrta that breaking the oath means facing Arzenta's fiery punishment, her hand extended with a serious warning. With determination burning in his eyes, Myrta vows to remember and honor his promise. Myrta bows respectfully, showing gratitude for the opportunity and understanding the weight of his commitment to Arzenta. Curious about Myrta's departure, Krua asks why he's leaving Arzenta's service. Myrta explains his wife's parents are ill, and he wants to be with them in their final moments. Krua offers warm wishes for his journey. PLA volunteers to escort Myrta to his carriage, ensuring a proper farewell. Krua feels uneasy, sensing she's somehow interfered in Arzenta's internal matters. She wonders if this magical contract explains Diallo's unwavering confidence in Arzenta's loyalty. Holding the sealed contract, Krua can't help but wonder, what exactly is Arzenta? She recalls that Myrta originally served Diallo, pondering the intricate relationships within the household. Krua reflects on the close connection between Myrta and Diallo, sensing their deep bond of trust. Diallo expresses his gratitude, pleased with Krua's successful handling of the contract. A servant announces Myrta's contract, and Diallo grants entry. Krua proudly presents the sealed contract, her success sparkling with magical energy. Diallo is caught off guard by Krua's quick return. Krua playfully asks if she surprised him, and Diallo admits she completed the task faster than expected. Diallo sincerely thanks Krua for her efforts. Krua notices Diallo also has the ritual dagger, adding to the mysterious atmosphere. Diallo carefully prepares to finalize the contract using the feather pen and dagger, ready to seal it with his flames. Krua watches intently as the contract burns, feeling the powerful magic of the moment. Krua senses the contract has been magically sealed, feeling the weight of the ritual. Diallo confirms Myrta's past service and his connection to Arzenta. With a hint of sadness, Diallo reflects on losing such a loyal servant. Krua reassures Diallo about Myrta's loyalty, and Diallo agrees that Myrta won't be a problem. He thanks her for her comforting words. Krua can't help but think they look like a true newlywed couple in this moment. Diallo prepares to leave, looking determined to attend to his duties. Their partnership continues to grow stronger with each passing moment. Diallo calls for Rick, instructing him to track those who might have been influenced by Cartiel. Rick responds confidently, using his magical flames to emphasize the importance of the mission. Diallo is determined to protect Arzenta from internal threats, his flames symbolizing his resolve. Diallo warns Rick to be extremely cautious and report any contact with Cartiel immediately. Rick confidently accepts the mission, ready to personally handle any potential traitors. With Rick, the head of intelligence, on the case, Myrta's every move will be carefully monitored. Diallo reflects on Krua's words, acknowledging that people typically don't commit betrayal without certainty. He recognizes the instability of his current situation, a marriage to a fake Pero. Diallo sees this as the perfect opportunity to root out internal traitors. Arzenta's strict rules leave no room for forgiveness when it comes to betrayal. An urgent report reaches Diallo about unusual activity in Section 4 of the Infinite Sea. Diallo focuses intently, preparing to respond to the emerging threat. Diallo is shocked to learn that Commander Redius is personally requesting his deployment. Without hesitation, he orders immediate action. Krua learns of Diallo's sudden dispatch, surprised by the urgent summons to the Infinite Sea. PL confirms the trouble in Section 4 of the Infinite Sea. Krua reflects on Diallo's true power, recognizing that beneath his gentle exterior lies the strength of a true family head. Despite her understanding, Krua can't shake her feeling of unease. The chapter concludes with a gentle, glowing presence. Krua continues her work, writing with a feather pen and preparing documents in Diallo's absence, reassuring herself of his safe return. Krua wishes she could have shared a quiet tea time with Diallo before his sudden departure. She notices a document labeled shadow targets and asks PL about its significance. PL reveals the dark truth about Arzenta's shadows. Those who die on missions are remembered through support for their families. A shattered chess piece symbolizes Roa's ultimate sacrifice to protect the Infinite Sea, a testament to loyalty beyond life. Krua begins to understand Diallo's actions weren't cruel, but part of a complex system of loyalty and protection. Arzenta ensures unwavering loyalty by providing land and wealth to families of those who serve, creating a powerful bond of mutual support. PL explains how Arzenta maintains incredible loyalty through generous benefits for both residents and household members. Intrigued by the unique household structure, Krua probes deeper into the conditions of joining Arzenta. PL reveals the extraordinary requirement for Arzenta: only those with water magic can work directly with the household's leadership or receive shadow support. Krua recognizes the uniqueness of Arzenta's shadow system, which sets it apart from other noble families. A sudden knock interrupts Krua's thoughts, bringing an unexpected visitor to her attention. A man in a red cloak arrives with an urgent request for additional troops in Sector 4. Krua is shocked to learn more troops are needed, especially since Diallo has already been dispatched to the area. Krua experiences a chilling moment of recognition. This is the incident where Diallo's uncle, Radiance Arzenta, dies in a devastating crisis. The narrative confirms this moment occurs after Krua's marriage to Diallo and just before the real Pero arrives at the mansion. Krua demands to know the exact number of troops requested, her mind racing with possibilities. The messenger explains the battle is taking longer than expected, and they need just enough troops to quickly clean up the site. Despite the messenger's calm explanation, Krua senses the situation might be escalating into a serious crisis. The narration reveals Radiance has no choice but to die, even with Diallo's support. A monstrous water magic user has appeared, something unprecedented in Arzenta's history. Radiance must burn his own body and go berserk to fight this threat. Krua stands determined to change the tragic original story, refusing to accept the predetermined fate. Recognizing Radiance's importance to Diallo and Arzenta, Krua resolves to save him and secure her own future. Krua takes charge, ordering additional troops to be organized and sent immediately. She carefully catches herself before revealing too much, almost mentioning the water monster. Ultimately, she decides to let the knights determine the appropriate number of troops. PL acknowledges Krua's instructions with a respectful bow. Krua demands personnel to escort her, insisting on her right to go as an eloge with water magic. PL looks shocked by Krua's unexpected request to join the mission. Krua confidently summons her magical aura, demonstrating her readiness and power. Krua showcases her water magic by delicately controlling a teacup, impressing those around her. Her magical display reveals her true potential, surprising those who underestimated her abilities. Krua senses the situation might be more serious than initially reported. She boldly argues that, as an Elage with water magic, she should be the one to go to the water-based mission. Krua dismisses the messenger, promising to report back after the meeting. Sunlight streams in, symbolizing her resolve to act for Arzenta and Diello. She stands by the window, determined to prevent tragedy and secure her own future. Krua vows to prevent the impending tragedy as Diello battles a massive wave of water magic, standing firm to defend his family and territory. The chapter concludes with a stark declaration of hatred for the sea. Diello reflects on the sea's deceptive beauty, hiding monstrous threats that constantly endanger the land. Haunting memories of past sacrifices and childhood trauma resurface as he remembers the cost of protecting their home. A man in a black cloak enters a dimly lit room where young Diello is crying. The man comforts Diello, teaching him to be strong and numb to survive the challenges of leading Arzenta. Young Diello sobs, overwhelmed by loss and the weight of responsibility thrust upon him. These painful memories resurface as Diello faces the front lines, giving him an ominous feeling about the upcoming battle. Diello desperately hopes his fears about the battle are unfounded. He leads his troops forward with unwavering determination to protect his family and territory. Riding at the forefront, Diello hopes against hope that disaster can be averted. The battle intensifies, with soldiers fighting fiercely as Diello leads from the front. Radiant's Arzenta battles monsters with flame magic, struggling against overwhelming odds. A shocking discovery emerges. A monster wielding water magic, something previously thought impossible, threatens to overwhelm Radiance. Radiance falls, injured and shocked by the unprecedented magical threat. Diello rushes into battle, calling out to his uncle and preparing to fight with everything he has to protect his family. The soldiers' spirits rise as their patriarch arrives, filling them with renewed hope and courage. Diello rallies his troops with fierce determination, declaring that the flame of Arzenta still burns bright and ordering them to stand their ground. With a thunderous cry, Diello commands a full assault, raising his flaming sword as a beacon of hope and defiance. Magical energy streaks across the sky as the troops charge forward with incredible speed and power. The battlefield glows with fierce intensity as troops advance against monstrous creatures, their resolve unbreakable. Soldiers glimpse hope as the monsters begin to retreat, cautiously wondering if the battle might be coming to an end. Suddenly, more monsters emerge, including a terrifying creature wielding water magic. The soldiers realize the battle is far from over, and the threat is much larger than they initially believed. An epic clash erupts between fire and water magic. Monsters surge forward, but Diello and his allies stand resolute, channeling their power to defend Arzenta with everything they have. Diello realizes his flames can't penetrate the water magic barrier protecting the monsters. He must find a new strategy to break through and defeat this unprecedented threat. Diello recalls the Cartiel Patriarch's previous victory against magic-using monsters, but knows he isn't fully awakened. He understands he must find a way to stop these monsters alone, with no real hope of reinforcements. Radiance decides to enter Berserk mode, acknowledging his mistake in requesting too few troops to handle the monster threat. With a heavy heart, Radiance seeks permission to proceed, knowing these might be his final moments. Radiance prepares to go berserk, tension building as he readies himself for the ultimate sacrifice. Krua suddenly arrives, shouting Diello's name with urgent determination. Radiance and Diello are stunned by Krua's unexpected appearance at the front lines. Krua rides in with reinforcements, her white horse leading the charge against the monstrous threat. Diello is shocked to see Krua, questioning her presence with a mix of surprise and confusion. Krua summons a massive wave of water magic, ready to confront the monsters and help her allies. With her water magic glowing, Krua prepares to control the massive sea wave threatening the battlefield. Krua confidently declares her intention to stop the sea, showing her determination to protect Diello and their forces. Diello watches in awe as Krua takes control of the battlefield, her power and resolve shining brightly. A page dedicated to translation credits with no story content present. Krua demonstrates her incredible power by halting a massive tsunami mid-motion, showcasing her mastery over water magic. Diello realizes Krua isn't just stopping the tsunami but actively controlling it. The monsters react with fear and confusion. Diello observes the battlefield, understanding that something extraordinary is happening with the tsunami. Krua confidently manipulates the water magic, turning the tide of battle and protecting their troops with her immense power. Krua unleashes a devastating freezing water attack, immobilizing the monstrous creatures. The soldiers watch in shock and amazement at her unexpected strength. Krua discovers her powers dramatically increase near the sea, surprising herself with the unexpected boost in her magical abilities. Before leaving, Krua practices her water magic, finding her control improving with each use. She creates intricate water shapes, grateful for her previous practice. Krua realizes that possessing the original Kroi's body has fundamentally changed her water magic abilities. With a confident smile, Krua prepares a larger force than originally planned, ready to advance under her command. Krua mounts her white horse, her cloak billowing dramatically as she prepares to lead her troops. She commands her troops to advance to Sector 4, her voice ringing out with confidence. The soldiers respond enthusiastically, ready to follow her lead. Krua rides her white horse at full gallop, finding the movement surprisingly familiar due to the original Kroi's memories. Determined to end the battle safely, Krua rides forward with her troops, unsure of her exact role but committed to helping. Krua feels the blood of Alisur surge through her as she commands the massive tsunami with unprecedented power. Soldiers watch in amazement as Krua single-handedly protects them from the monstrous threat. Krua admits her own surprise at the dramatic increase in her magical abilities, especially near the sea. Krua contemplates the potential strength of other Alisurs, wondering about their magical capabilities. She ponders the fate of Pentas Alisur and imagines what might have happened if she had survived to become the family head. A massive monster appears behind Krua, but she quickly responds with her water magic. Onlookers are stunned by her incredible power, questioning how she can be so strong without being the family head. Soldiers marvel at the immense power of Duke Alisur, wondering about the true extent of her magical abilities. Diello notices the magic-using enemy has vanished, scanning the area cautiously. Diello realizes the enemy has disappeared, searching frantically for their location. A massive tsunami towers over the battlefield. Diello realizes the enemy is hiding beneath the massive wave. Krua spots the hidden enemy, declaring that hiding is useless against her water magic. She prepares to attack with unwavering confidence. Krua launches a powerful water attack, seizing the opportunity to strike the hidden monster. She knows it won't be a one-hit victory, but remains determined to keep fighting. Krua decides to tap into even greater magical power, preparing for her most intense attack yet. Diello calls out to Krua, and she responds, ready to unleash her full strength with his support. Diello unleashes a powerful combined attack with Krua, their magic merging into a devastating force against their enemies. Fire and water combine into an overwhelming pillar of destruction, crushing the shadowy enemies beneath their joint power. A massive explosion rocks the battlefield, signaling their decisive victory. Soldiers erupt in jubilant celebration, their victory cry echoing across the battlefield. Diello commands the troops to clean up the battlefield, his voice ringing with authority after defeating the water-controlling monster. The soldiers march forward with renewed energy, their boots striking the ground in perfect unison. Krua watches in awe, realizing Diello's strength is far beyond what she initially believed. Diello rushes to Krua's side, his concern for her safety evident in every movement. Krua explains her motivation, worry for her accomplice, and a desire to help. Diello gratefully acknowledges her support. In a moment of quiet reflection, Krua begins to doubt her previous understanding of Diello. Diello's serious expression hints at the complexity of his character, flames dancing around him symbolizing his inner turmoil. Their bond deepens, trust growing from the crucible of battle and shared struggle. Exhausted from her magical exertion, Krua lies weak in bed, her body completely drained. Diello sits silently beside her, his protective gaze a testament to their growing connection. Defying protocol, Diello insists on personally carrying Krua, showing his commitment to her protection. With a tender kiss on her forehead, Diello reveals the depth of his newfound care for Krua. During their journey, Diello finds comfort in the sea's scent, a stark contrast to his previous hatred. He holds Krua close, calling her name softly. Diello reflects on his past vow never to form attachments, realizing Krua has awakened something he thought was lost forever. Diello takes Krua's hand, making a profound declaration of his intention to keep her safe. His determination burns bright. He will protect her at all costs. Krua awakens, recognizing the familiar ceiling of her room. She realizes the full extent of her magical exhaustion, unable to move a single finger after the intense battle. A maid enters, relieved to see Krua has finally awakened. Krua's first concern is Lord Radier's safety, showing her selfless nature. The maid explains Krua was unconscious for a day and a half, praising her crucial role in minimizing battle casualties. Krua feels relief knowing Lord Radier survived, understanding his importance to Arzenta. She asks about Diello's condition and instructs the maid to call the physician and check on him. Krua begins to notice how often people say, "for Arzenta," wondering about its deeper meaning. The physician arrives, greeting her with the now familiar phrase, "for Arzenta," which strikes Krua as significant. The physician examines Krua, assuring her she'll recover with rest. His repeated use of for arzenta hints at a deeper cultural significance. Another visitor greets Krua with the now familiar for arzenta phrase. Krua begins to understand the unique camaraderie of the Arzenta household, realizing her presence has changed its atmosphere. Piel explains how Krua's fierce battle charge has set her apart from other Arzentas. The Arzentas view her battle as a crucial trial, a test of becoming a true family member. Krua prepares for her next move, asking Piel to bring her a map of the continent. She is determined to secure her place in Arzenta and plan her future strategically. A page with translation credits and no story content. Krua studies a map, focusing on a location deep within the continent. She dreams of finding a place of safety and abundance, free from constant threats. Krua confidently identifies Daisy Forest as her ideal location, believing real estate is her path to the future. Krua calculates the potential profits from buying Daisy Forest, convinced it's a guaranteed investment. Suddenly, Diello bursts into the room, calling her name urgently. Krua looks up, surprised by his unexpected entrance. Diello apologizes for his delayed arrival, explaining he was busy with coastal defenses. Krua reassures him she's fine. Diello thanks Krua for saving many Arzentas, expressing concern about the risks of her powers. Krua remains determined to help until they defeat the House of Aloy. Diello hands Krua a sealed letter from the Duke of Aloge. Krua reads the letter, realizing it's meant to check the progress of sealing Diello's purity. Frustration builds as Krua recognizes the continued interference in their lives. Krua suddenly realizes the Duke of Aloge has attached specific terms to their contract marriage. She discovers a dignity maintenance expense in the contract, delightedly finding a new funding source. Krua nervously deflects attention, hiding her excitement about her newfound financial opportunity. Diello curiously asks about the map, listening as Krua shares her dream of living near Daisy Forest. Diello falls silent, deeply contemplating the implications of Krua's future plans. Diello repeats her words, trying to understand her intention to leave Arzenta. He tells Krua to rest, saying he still has work to complete, maintaining his usual diligent demeanor. Krua acknowledges his hard work, understanding his commitment to his responsibilities. Diello stands by the window, wrestling with his thoughts about Krua's mysterious plans and potential risks. Diello paces restlessly, questioning Krua's potential recklessness and her true intentions. Diello whispers to himself, struggling to comprehend Krua's unexpected decisions. He stands troubled, trying to reconcile his understanding of Krua with her confusing actions. Diello remembers the dark fate awaiting Krua if the real Pero arrives, a chilling reminder of her precarious position. He hesitates, recognizing Krua's valuable contributions and her cooperation with Arzenta. Krua calls out Diello's name, her voice cutting through his contemplative silence. Diello finds comfort in the moment, hoping Perrault's arrival will be delayed, content with their current situation. Diello contemplates the potential benefits of Perrault's delayed arrival, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. He wishes Krua could truly become Perrault, longing for a different future and seeing her as something more precious than her current role. Krua confidently assures Diello of her ability to handle the battlefield, emphasizing her acting skills. Diello trusts her completely, responding with a simple, "got it," that speaks volumes about his faith in her abilities. Krua prepares to depart, her determination clear as she says goodbye. A sense of impending danger surrounds her departure, symbolized by wilted roses and dark shadows. A page dedicated to translation credits and artwork. The Duke warmly welcomes Krua, asking about her well-being with calculated politeness. Krua responds diplomatically, speaking of her happy newlywed life while the Duke invites her to the drawing room. The Duke secretly questions Krua's motives, wondering what scheme she might be planning. He requests a private reunion with his daughter, dismissing the other attendants with a calculated move. Krua looks shocked as the Duke questions the restrictions on their father-daughter meeting. The Duke warns Piel about harming Krua, demonstrating a complex layer of protection. Attendants bow and leave as the Duke prepares for a private conversation with Krua. Piel and her companions wait anxiously, wondering about the progress of Krua's mission. Krua reports her progress with Diello, explaining she's managed to share a room with him despite challenges. Krua explains Diello's shy nature and the complexity of unlocking his sealed abilities, showing her strategic approach. The Duke criticizes Krua's approach, suggesting she needs to be more aggressive in seducing Diello. Krua feels suffocated by his demands. The tension builds as Krua feels the oppressive atmosphere pressing down on her. Krua insists she's trying to seduce Diello, feeling the mounting pressure from the Duke's expectations. The Duke questions Diello's capabilities, while Krua internally criticizes his cold-blooded approach, knowing she must survive first. Krua decides to take a slow approach with Diello, strategically proposing to redirect part of the Duchess's allowance to fund her mission. Krua successfully negotiates a tenth of the allowance, feeling relieved about her financial security. The Duke warns Krua to show more progress by next month, adding pressure to her mission. Krua agrees, feeling a sense of accomplishment after securing additional funding. She prepares to leave, feeling a mix of relief and determination. As Krua attempts to leave, the Duke stops her, drawing attention to the Diello Arzenta tattoo on her back. The Duke declares the tattoo needs to be redone, holding magical threads that hint at a sinister purpose. Krua's face shows shock and fear at the Duke's unexpected declaration. Krua returns to the mansion looking pale and exhausted, her carriage arriving under a sunset sky. Piel notices Krua's condition and calls out in concern. Krua suddenly collapses near the carriage, alarming everyone around her. Piel orders an immediate departure while Krua sits silently, lost in her troubled thoughts. Krua loses consciousness inside the carriage, blood pooling around her body in a disturbing scene. The maids panic, the blood-stained dress revealing the severity of her condition. Maids desperately try to keep Krua conscious, her weak responses masking the true extent of her injuries. Piel carefully asks permission to examine Krua's back, showing her concern and professional care. Shock fills the room as Piel discovers the horrific wound, realizing the situation is far more serious than she initially thought. Krua reveals her risky deception about the tattoo engraving. Piel promises immediate medical help, determined to keep Krua safe during their journey. Anxiety gnaws at Diello as he checks his pocket watch, worried about Krua's unusually delayed return and fearing something might have gone wrong. A servant informs Diello of Krua's arrival, breaking his mounting tension and concern. Diello rushes to Krua, his worry evident in his serious expression and immediate questions about her well-being. Diello confronts Krua about the re-engraved name, showing his deep concern and protective instincts. He gently advises her to treat her wound properly. Krua tries to reassure Diello that her emergency care was adequate, attempting to calm his worries. With a warm smile, Diello suggests they handle her treatment more thoroughly. Krua gratefully accepts, touched by his kindness. Krua winces in pain as Diello carefully tends to her wound. She jokes about his speed, trying to lighten the tense moment while managing her discomfort. Diello discovers unexpected bruises on Krua's back, his shock revealing the severity of her recent ordeal. Both are confused about the origin of these injuries. Diello falls silent, lost in deep thought about Krua's mysterious injuries. Krua notices Diello's troubled silence and asks what's wrong, concerned about his sudden change in demeanor. Krua presses Diello about what happened, but he dismisses her concerns. Diello offers a gentle smile, trying to reassure Krua that everything is fine. He promises to finish treating her quickly, and Krua agrees, trusting his care. Diello completes the treatment, marking the end of their medical care session. Krua thanks Diello, but he insists she remove her outerwear before sleeping. Krua is taken aback by Diello's unexpected request, showing her surprise. Diello firmly explains his reasoning, to prevent further injury and ensure her comfort. Krua feels embarrassed by Diello's request, her cheeks flushing with awkward tension. Shocked and blushing, Krua struggles with Diello's unexpected instruction. Diello calmly explains his reasoning, focusing on her health and recovery. Diello reassures Krua, promising her she doesn't need to worry about anything else. He tenderly holds her hand, suggesting they simply hold hands while sleeping, maintaining their promise and building trust. Krua blushes, touched by Diello's gentle approach and growing intimacy. They lie together, holding hands, their bond deepening in the quiet moment of vulnerability and trust. Krua lies awake, her mind racing with thoughts about her feelings for Diello. Diello calls her name, breaking the silence and drawing her attention. With a troubled expression, Diello admits he can't continue something, leaving Krua confused and worried about his cryptic statement. The chapter concludes with translation credits and a soft, warm illustration. Diello gazes at Krua with growing affection, his feelings becoming more evident. He gently touches her chin, causing Krua to feel flustered and nervous. Diello offers Krua a pillow, and she gratefully accepts, their closeness growing more comfortable. Krua laughs nervously, appreciating Diello's thoughtful care. Diello carefully places a blanket over Krua's shoulders, ensuring her comfort. Embarrassed, Krua tells Diello not to laugh at her, showing her vulnerability. The bedroom falls quiet, with soft candlelight creating an intimate atmosphere as they prepare to sleep. Their hands intertwine gently, symbolizing their growing connection and trust. They exchange soft goodnights, Diello smiling tenderly as they drift towards sleep. A quiet moment of reflection hints at the uncertain challenges that lie ahead for them. Krua wakes up to find Diello already asleep, surprised by his unusual rest. She wonders about Diello's deep sleep, concerned about his unusual exhaustion. A maid enters the room, interrupting Krua's quiet morning thoughts. Surrounded by soft light and flowers, Krua sits quietly, reflecting on the recent changes in her life. A maid cautiously enters, bringing a document requiring Krua's approval for shadow supply. Determined to repay Diello's kindness, Krua hopes her quick attention to duties will aid her healing. A maid approaches Krua in the hallway, showing concern for her well-being. Krua responds with a gentle smile, assuring the maid she's feeling much better and expressing gratitude for the concern. Determined to appear strong, Krua walks confidently through the hallway, not wanting to show any weakness from her recent ordeal. Krua and her maid share a secret plan, agreeing to maintain a careful facade and support each other through potential challenges. Diello wakes to find a note from Krua about handling the shadow supply approval, feeling a mix of concern and admiration for her dedication. Diello reflects on the tender moments shared with Krua, remembering the gentle intimacy they've developed. Longing for Krua, Diello softly whispers her name, missing her presence. Krua sits outdoors with the maid, preparing for her next strategic move. Diello carefully monitors the Duke of Aloge's financial support to Krua, instructing his men to keep a close watch on her spending. Diello ponders Krua's potential strategies, wondering about her plans for the Daisy Forest and the complex political landscape of Pentasaloye. Diello realizes his growing feelings for Krua go beyond political strategy. He genuinely wants her by his side. Determined to protect her, Diello acknowledges the power and potential he sees in Krua. Diello admits to himself the depth of his feelings, recognizing how much he wants Krua in his life. Resolute in his emotions, Diello refuses to let Krua slip away. A mysterious visitor requests a secret meeting with Diello, sparking his curiosity. Diello is stunned by a shocking revelation. Someone claims to be the true pharaoh and is already known to him. Krua learns of Diello's sudden dispatch to the Infinite Sea, surprised by the unexpected development. The Infinite Sea's troubles weigh on Krua's mind, wondering about the urgent situation. Krua reflects on the timeline of events, her marriage to Diello and the impending arrival of the real pharaoh. She investigates the troop deployment, learning the battle is taking longer than anticipated. Diello speculates about Krua's potential plans, wondering if she intends to use the river's power against Aloge. He reassures himself that Krua isn't reckless, trying to calm his own worries. Despite his confidence, Diello can't shake his concerns about Krua's true intentions. Krua carefully plans her approach to redirect part of the Duchess's allowance, seeking financial independence. With determination and a hint of anxiety, Krua prepares her strategy to survive and win Diello's heart. Diello waits anxiously for Krua's return, growing increasingly worried about her prolonged absence. Diello enters a room, urgently asking about the pharaoh mark, sensing something is amiss. The depth of betrayal hits Diello, leaving him shocked and pained. A servant reveals a shocking truth. Venia is a traitor to Arzenta. Venia, a woman from Diello's past, greets him with a warm, calculated smile. She reminisces about their childhood, noting it's been years since the former Duke and Duchess passed away. Diello confronts the painful memory of Venia's betrayal, the woman who leaked Arzenta's information to Duke Aloge and sold his parents to the enemy. Venia boasts about her water magic, claiming the Arzentas were too afraid to challenge her. Diello is puzzled by Venia's unique magical abilities, recognizing her as a different kind of threat. She explains her survival strategy, using Duke Aloge's name as protection and manipulating her water magic. Diello sees through Venia's lies, knowing she's unaware of Krua's true position. Calmly sipping tea, he contemplates the deeper implications of her story. Diello remains determined to uncover the secret Venia is hiding. Venia reveals her long-hidden past, admitting she survived by becoming a pharaoh and asking Diello about her fate. Venia challenges Diello, questioning why she can't be the one he loves instead of Krua. She attempts to position herself as a worthy partner, claiming she kept Diello's secret despite knowing the truth. Diello realizes Venia's silence was purely self-preservation, not loyalty. He remains focused on uncovering the identity of the fake pharaoh, determined to protect Krua. Venia provocatively questions Diello about Krua, even offering to eliminate her, but Diello remains focused on the bigger picture. Venia attempts to seduce Diello with promises of luxury and companionship. Diello finds her amusing, while Venia admits her own limitations and past mistakes. Diello reminds Venia of their first meeting and warns her about the deadly trial she faces, making her realize the true gravity of her situation. Diello focuses on wedding preparations, worried about the potential traitor within Arzenta and the possibility of Krua leaving. Determined to uncover the truth, Diello